Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Nice. Okay, let me see if I can make sure we have our guest speaker. Is Mika here?
Yep,
Oh, there you are.
I'm here.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Great, thank you. Here. Can I make you co-host?
Super.
Here you are. All right. Yeah. So thank you, Mika, for coming and talking to us. We just covered a material and the technology for which we can identify folks and have them join and create an account with websites, and we talked about the mechanisms by which we can we don't want to say track users, but how they might share personal information with us and relate to other information that we might keep track from them. And so I talked about the technology side, and we were hoping maybe to hear a little bit more on the ethics side. We talked about the things that you can do, and how and what's the background and the behind the scenes, and perhaps then we talk about what we can do, and I guess I hope maybe you can talk about to us as whether we should do it, or what are the various things that we have to consider on how things should be done, and inform folks and let everybody know transparency and whatnot. So yeah, so I'm really looking forward to your talk.
Super. Great. Okay, I'm going to share screen. Oh, actually, at the very beginning, for any of the undergrads, if you haven't taken the pre-survey yet, would you mind raising your hand? And then I could, if there are any hands, I'll give a couple more minutes so people could fill out that survey.
Yeah, perhaps we can give some more folks time to join as well.
I mean, maybe I could just throw it into the chat too, that as people arrive, please be sure to fill out the Piazza. No, actually, if you've already taken it in another class, you don't need to take it again, Grant. Thanks for asking. Okay, so I will get started with the share screen. Okay, so great. I am Mika Mignani. I'm a professor here at Northeastern, but you're welcome to call me, you can call me Professor Mignani, Mika, any of those work. And I'll be here today and also on Tuesday. And we're going to talk today about issues of privacy and how they relate to web development. And then on Tuesday, we'll talk about issues of autonomy, or the value of self-governance, and how it relates to web design. So to say a bit more about myself, just so you know who I am, I got my PhD in 2019 from Stanford, working on moral and political philosophy, in particular autonomy-based ethics and political theory. So those are theories that are concerned with what we need to do to acknowledge and realize the value of self-governance, which involves respecting people's ability to make choices for themselves, to think for themselves, and to determine, be the authors of their own lives, basically. So that was my background in philosophy. And then for the last 2 years, I was at Harvard working with this interesting team called Embedded Ethics, with a capital CS, which stands for computer science. And we were an interdisciplinary team of computer scientists and philosophers working to embed ethical reasoning throughout the computer science curriculum. So Northeastern is also doing something similar here. And so that is why I am here in the class, integrating ethical reasoning into the computer science classes along the lines of, and we'll talk more about it on Tuesday, what's called VSD, or value sensitive design, which is a particular methodology and approach to thinking through the development and deployment of technology with values in mind and ethical implications in mind. And so, yeah, my current position here is I am a joint appointment in both the philosophy department and the computer science department. And I teach tech and human values, which I believe some of my students are here today, which I'm very excited about. Okay, so for today, we're going to be talking about the value and challenges of privacy. And before laying out the agenda of what we'll talk about and discuss today, I'm just going to run through a common experience. So you go to a website like Reddit. It says something which you can see down here at the bottom. Cookies help us deliver our services. By using our services or clicking I agree, you agree to use our cookies. And then there's a little link that says learn more. And I'm not sure how many of you have actually hit learn more, but here's what happens when you do. So you get some sort of privacy policy here, and it tells you what sort of information you're providing to them. So maybe not surprising, account information, the content that you submit, the actions you take on the site, and the purchases you make on the site. So all of that may not be so surprising, but then you hit this other information bit down at the bottom. And this won't be surprising to you guys either, since I think you just learned about all this stuff. But so when you go down to the other bit, they say we also may receive information about you, including log and usage data and cookie information from third-party websites that integrate our services, including our embeds, buttons, and advertising technology. For example, when you visit a website that uses Reddit embeds, we may receive information about the web page you visited. Their tracking extends then, though I noticed there was hesitance about using the word tracking, so I would be curious if there's any pushback to this, but their tracking extends then to third-party websites. That is, and I'm again sure this isn't news to you, but they're tracking you even once you leave the platform. So as you travel through the web, you're likely to encounter embeds, or what's also been called social plugins, on various sites, so Facebook like or Facebook share options. And when you click on a like button, all it will do is you'll see the number on the page's counter. It'll go up by 1, it'll register your like. Or if you click on a share button, a box will open up to let you post a link to your own Facebook account. But that's just what's happening on the surface for these the Facebook social plugins. Casey Oppenheimer, who's a data security firm co-founder of Disconnect, states, if those buttons are on the page, regardless of whether you touch them or not, Facebook is collecting data. Behind the scenes, every web page contains little bits of code that request the pictures, videos, and text that browsers need to display each item on the page. And these requests typically go out to a lot of corporate servers, including Facebook. And such requests can transmit data about the sites you're on, the browser you're using, and more. Whether or not you click on these buttons, then these social plugin buttons, data is getting sent to Facebook. So according to Oppenheimer, if you're logged into Facebook with the same browser you use to surf the web, the company knows exactly who you are and the vast majority of the websites you visit. Even if you're not logged in, the company can still associate the data with your IP address and all the websites you've been that contain Facebook code. So I did just switch from Reddit to Facebook there, but same sort of concept. Oops. Okay, so here you can see these little social plugins over here up in the right-hand corner. So you might think we should just avoid pages that have social plugins, though most of them do, but the tracking goes deeper. So Facebook Pixel, oh wait, oops, sorry. So you have we were just reading Reddit's privacy policy. Now we have Twitter's. It has a similar sort of consent for the third-party websites. And then we have Facebook's privacy policy, which has a similar sort of setup. Okay, so I'm sorry. I think I have my slides messed up. Oh, no. Okay, sorry, I don't. Okay, so where is it following us? So it follows us through, sees what kind of news that we're looking at, what sort of news we are searching. It can follow us to health websites. You'll see here the social plugins up in the right-hand corner. So if you're looking up health information, which is oftentimes considered sensitive information, that information can be collected. Here again, you see the little social embeds. And of course, shopping, which is not a surprise. And then you'll find it in other places where you might wonder why they even have social plugins in the first place. But these are all throughout the web. So you might think we should just avoid pages that have these sorts of social plugins. But the tracking goes much deeper. So here with Facebook Pixel, which for many digital advertising agencies is the first recommendation when redesigning a site, is what it is it's a transparent file, just one of the millions of pixels on a screen. So no one will ever notice this particular itty bitty picture. But the request to get it is packed with information. So in the words of Facebook, when you go to like the website to like look at what Facebook Pixel is, it's a piece of code for your website that lets you measure, optimize, and build audiences for your ad campaigns. So yes, it helps clients target ads to consumers, but at the same time, it's also providing Facebook with data about what millions of people read, shop for, and watch. So that whether or not this bothers you at this point, the situation that we're in right now, with all of this data being collected, raises a lot of questions. And this is what our agenda is today. So first, what's being done with all of this data? Second is, what exactly is privacy and why should we value it, or should we value it? Why does it matter? Another topic that we'll talk about today that's relevant is challenges of the era of big data in terms of privacy. It turns out that like kind of our go-to line of defense for privacy is actually fairly ineffective in the age of big data. And then I'll introduce this idea of privacy as contextual integrity, which is a way of analyzing a particular piece of technology to see if it respects privacy. And then we'll have a group activity and a debrief, which will have us think through particular websites and design features on those websites. Okay, so, whoops, I'm going to throw this out to for a quick discussion. So what do you guys think is being done with all of the data that's being collected from cookies or whatever else?
You're being advertised to, I guess. Like, you know, they're able to specify exactly what they think you want to buy. Like,
yeah, great.
You know, I've heard stories about people who like find out that they're pregnant from like seeing ads for like baby toys and stuff.
Yeah, fantastic. We will talk about the target example, which is the pregnancy example that you're mentioning. So what's the middle step there? So would they collect all this data so that they can personalize advertising for us? But like, is there any sort of middle step that happens?
Maybe they're selling data to some companies, the target companies probably.
Yeah, great. So we'll talk more about it, but they are taking all this data and building predictive models about us as human beings so that they can more effectively serve us advertising. So not only is it personalized, but it might be coming at the right moment, at the right time in which we're most susceptible to the influences of the advertising. Okay, I'm gonna go back to share screen. Sorry. Okay, so I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this particular book. We're not going to talk about the big overarching thesis, which is, according to Shoshana Zuboff, this new way of making money, of taking massive amounts of data, building predictive models, and then serving advertisement has led us into a new variation of capitalism, is her thesis. We're not going to talk about that thesis. But she has she thinks that there's been this critical moment where we discovered something that has shifted us into a whole different type of economy that's based basically on predicting human futures. And so I want to talk about that transitional moment. So to talk about the transitional moment, we'll first talk about Google back in the good old days. So here's Larry Page and Sergey Brin looking very fresh-faced back at Stanford. And back in the day, they had this very cool search function that people were very excited about. And they had this mission that they wanted to organize the world's information. But of course, as we know, this before advertising was brought into the picture, this search function was not turning any sort of profit. But actually, and this might be surprising to some, Sergey Brin and Larry Page were adamantly opposed to advertising from the beginning. They thought that this search tool needed to stay within the academic realm. They said, we expect that advertising funded search engines will be inherently biased towards the advertisers and away from the needs of the consumers. This type of bias is very difficult to detect, but could still have a significant effect on the market. We believe the issue of advertising causes enough mixed incentives that it is crucial to have a competitive search engine that is transparent and in the academic realm. So it's just an interesting fact about when they first started off. But back when they started, I have here written, so there was what you might characterize as a reciprocal relationship between the user and Google before advertising gets involved. And so how's that? Well, the way that Zuboff explains it is that, so you have, when you type something into the search query and the search function, there's certain data that you're releasing, what you're searching for, and then what you're clicking on in terms of the results. And all of that behavioral data is very helpful for improving the service itself. So you put data into the search function, it takes that data, it builds analytics with it, and then there's service improvement. And then you as a user, as someone who's trying to hunt down information, you benefit from it. So there's something that's kind of reciprocal between you and Google at that point, okay? And then all of the rest of the data that is not used for improving the service just gets spewed off and has been called things like data exhaust. Just, you know, waste product that floats off into nowhere. But then the crucial discovery that has brought us where we are today in terms of just like hoarding of personal data and the building of predictive models is the discovery of behavioral surplus, is what Zuboff calls it. So behavioral surplus is basically just this digital exhaust. It's surplus because it's stuff that's released out into the world that's not going into improving the service, but it is personal data about us. And this big moment, as it's been reported, the eureka moment from the eyes of Google was back when Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was on air. It may still be, I'm not sure. But apparently the people looking at the search logs at Google noticed that at the same time, after every hour, people were looking for, what is Carol Brady's maiden name? So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Brady Bunch, but it was, you know, a show I think in the 1970s, and Carol Brady's the mom, and here she is. And so what a strange thing to be peaking at a certain time and climbing to the tops of the logs in terms of search requests. And what they realized is it was during Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, is like that question was getting asked and people who were at home were typing it into Google in order to determine what was Carol Brady's maiden name. And so you could look at it and predict that this peak in the search request would happen, you know, at the same time every hour. And this has been described as the eureka moment of like, look, there's all of this digital exhaust out there, all this behavioral surplus. We've been treating it like it doesn't have any value, but it actually has extreme potential in terms of predicting human activity and human behavior. So that is why Carol Brady is quite significant in this telling of the story of Google. So behavioral surplus, you can understand it as just the digital exhaust, the behavioral byproduct, all of the data that could be collected from your search requests, your activities online that are not being used to improve the service itself. And then the discovery was that this data could be used to build predictive models about users. And so not only can we now serve advertising to the users, but we can serve advertising to users in a very a much more fruitful way, identifying, you know, what exactly their preferences are, what their feelings are, the times that they're more vulnerable or more likely to want a particular type of product. So that steered Google from this, we just want to be in the academic realm, search engine, we want to organize the world's information, to then they started introducing some kind of clumsy ads to make a little bit of money and maybe appease their investors or whatever. And then they discovered behavioral surplus. And that's when they took off with this huge, powerful, with all of this power to be able to collect personal data and build these models for predicting human behaviors and thoughts and preferences and the like. Okay, so it's important to know that the data that's being collected about people isn't confined to information that we enter into the query box or the friends that we happen to connect with, say on Facebook, or the content of our posts. Like all of us can kind of, if we stop to think about it, think, okay, I'm releasing this data out into the world. But once we bring in data mining, so much more information can be gleaned, information that we don't even realize that we're giving away. So take something like the Facebook like button. When you hit on your favorite music artists, you might assume, if you stop to think about it, that if someone is collecting this data about you, that they might eventually be able to predict your musical likes, your music tastes. And they might go one step further. They might look at your friend network and see what kind of music taste they have, and maybe make some sort of prediction based on, you know, like-minded people like like-minded people. However, it can go much further than that, the Facebook like. So when there's vast amounts of data, data mining can be used to extract statistically significant correlations between what seems like unrelated data. And because of this, it can be used to reveal hidden traits, not obviously contained within a data set. A particularly head-scratching example that's often cited in the literature is apparently there's a strong correlation between creditworthiness and premium quality birdseed purchasing. And this is something to keep in mind, because as one releases one's information into the world, I might be perfectly okay with other people knowing what kind of birdseed I purchase. But if a predictive model is being used to use my purchasing trends to determine my creditworthiness, I'm basically giving away information without knowing it about, at least in the eyes of others, how creditworthy I am. Okay, so an interesting study that was done by Wu Yuyu, Michal Kozinski, and David Stilwell in 2015 studied how well they could predict personality traits based on data from Facebook likes. So they asked 86,220 people on Facebook to complete a 100-question personality survey that determined where they stood on the so-called 5 traits: openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. They then analyzed those people's Facebook likes to generate a model in which likes were linked to the 5 personality traits. So all sorts of patterns were found. Likers of meditation, TED Talks, Salvador Dali, for example, tended to score higher on openness, while those who liked reality star Snooki, dancing, and parties were rated higher in extroversion. So on average, people on Facebook had the people they were looking at had 227 likes. And this was enough information for the computer to be a better predictor of personality than an average human judge. In other words, a friend who might know this person, and you would think know their personality, and almost as good as a spouse, not quite, but almost as good as a spouse. So the more likes, the better the computer got at it. It only took 10 likes for the computer to outperform a work colleague, and 70 to do better than a friend, and 150 to outscore a family member. Okay, so I think I just read that quote. Only needs 10 likes to outdo a colleague. That's pretty crazy. Okay. And then in the words of Yuyu, Kozinski, and Stilwell, quote, "We show that easily accessible digital records of behavior, Facebook likes, can be used to automatically and accurately predict a range of highly sensitive personal attributes, including sexual orientation, ethnicity, religious and political views, personality traits, intelligence, happiness, use of addictive substances, parental separation, age, and gender." The analysis presented is based on a data set of over 58,000 volunteers who provided their Facebook likes, detailed demographic profiles, and results of several psychometric tests. The proposed model uses dimensionality reduction for pre-processing the likes data, which are then entered into logistic linear regression to predict individual psychodemographic profiles from the likes. The model correctly discriminates between homosexual and heterosexual men in 88% of the cases, African Americans and Caucasian Americans in 95% of the cases, and between Democrat and Republican in 85% of the cases. Okay, so building these models. First, let's go back to a quick little conversation. I want to ask what you guys think about this at this point. So how many of you, were you familiar with this personality type prediction using Facebook likes? And does that worry you, and why?
The interesting thing about Facebook likes is that they're like super public, and like by saying they're liking a thing, you are like giving the world that information.
Yes, but I may be giving the world the likes that I like TED Talks and I like meditation, but I'm not necessarily aware that I'm also giving the world, what was it called? That my psychological profile, I'm an open type person. Or, I mean, in the case where they talked about sexual orientation, that your parents are separated, like all of that kind of stuff, they can predict it off of, I mean, you're totally right. You're like giving away this information, you know it's public, but you're giving away maybe your music likes, not necessarily that your parents have been separated.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But it also makes you think that, like, you know, if this is information that's publicly available that Facebook has, like, what about all the things that obviously aren't publicly available, like, you know, what ads you click on or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. And so how much more powerful they could get with all that information as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Was there
Yeah.
a diminishing returns on the ability of the model to predict and each subsequent like? Like, were the
Yeah.
first 10 likes more powerful than the last 10 in the 300?
You know, I'm not sure. I'd have to look more closely at it. I can send, at some point I'll post the article in the chat if you want to take a closer look, but that's a really good question.
Sure, thanks.
But also, who goes on Facebook and likes 300 things? That's crazy.
Over the years, I mean, they did say that the average person that they were looking at had 227 likes.
Okay, never mind. I guess people
Yeah.
just use Facebook more than I ever did.
Any other thoughts before we move on to talking about the various things that are done with these predictive models?
I would posit that it's actually even worse. These predictive models are becoming so so good that not only your likes, but anything you type into these systems is also being used to train you know, artificial intelligence algorithms that at some point they could you know, they could be an imposter, right? They could generate same, you know, tweets and content that that even if you're after you die, you know, they could be tweeting and posting in place of you, and behaving as if it were you. You know, with the, I don't know if folks have taken a look at GPT-3, where it can, you know, just generate, spew out you know, content indefinitely. Just by looking at samples at folks, what folks have written, and just have your same cadence and your same style of writing, the same style. So yeah, I could see this person having written this.
Yeah.
And it's scary.
Yeah, it's like that Black Mirror episode, which we're actually going to watch in the Tech and Human Values class that I'm teaching right now. But it's where a woman loses her partner. I'm not quite sure the relationship, but someone who she's, you know, has a very deep connection with, and chooses to bring him back. But it's that idea that, like, they've been tracking like all of the ways in which he speaks, all of like his digital traces, and they're able to construct a clone that has like, has the same cadence, has the same ways of responding, has the same sort of emotional. It just raises a lot of questions. Yeah.
That exists. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so I'm going to go back. Sharing screen. Wait, can you guys see the screen or not yet, right?
Not yet.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so what is being done? So as someone mentioned earlier, I think it might have been Jack. So the case of personalized advertising that always gets mentioned is the case of Target predicting pregnancies before they happen. So why would Target want to predict pregnancies? It's not just to lure them in to send them, advertising about diapers and bottles. In the words of a statistician employed by Target, who actually built their prediction, their pregnancy prediction model, quote, "We knew that if we could identify them in their second trimester, there's a good chance we could capture them for years. As soon as we get them buying diapers from us, they're going to start buying everything else too. If you're rushing through the store looking for bottles and you pass orange juice, you'll grab a carton. Oh, and there's that new DVD I want. Soon you'll be buying cereal and paper towels from us, and you'll keep coming back and coming back." So Cole, this guy I just quoted, created this pregnancy prediction model by looking at shopping patterns of pregnant women who were they identified them as being pregnant because they had baby registries. A year later, and this is the story that hit like all the newspapers, little anecdote. A year later, a man walked into a Target outside Minneapolis and demanded to see the manager. He was clutching coupons that had been sent to his daughter, and he was angry. According to an employee who participated in the conversation, he said, "My daughter got this in the mail. She's still in high school, and you're sending her coupons for baby clothes and cribs. Are you trying to encourage her to get pregnant?" The manager didn't have any idea what the man was talking about. He looked at the mailer. Sure enough, it was addressed to the man's daughter and contained advertisements for maternity, clothing, nursery furniture, and pictures of smiling infants. The manager apologized and then called a few days later to apologize again. On the phone, though, the father was somewhat abashed. I had to talk with my daughter. It turns out there's been some activities in my house I haven't been completely aware of. She's due in August, and I owe you an apology. So I do think that there are questions to raise about this anecdotal little bit, but it was all over the newspapers. So hopefully they fact checked it. But even so, whether or not the story is true, let's assume it's true. How good was the algorithm, I think, is another question to ask. I mean, yes, it hit on one case, but it doesn't tell us how many mistakes it made in the process. Those are some good questions to ask. But the point is that these sort of predictions are being made all the time, and because of practices like data mining, they are getting better quickly. So just to get, no, never mind. Whoops. Oh, sorry. Okay, another case of these predictive models being used is in political advertising. So can anybody tell us what happened with Cambridge Analytica? The scandal. Yes, they used it to sway votes. Can anybody give some more details? Okay, so basically they got data for 87 million Facebook users, and they used this data to construct psychographic profiles. So just like the ones that we were talking about in terms of just like personality types. And then they use these profiles. So I think some of them were like that people were the persuadables, so that they could be, targeted for votes, to target political advertisements, and did in doing so influence the 2016 presidential election. I believe it was, I'm not sure if it was during the 2016 election, but another thing that they were involved in is using this data to basically identify what are psychological tendencies or vulnerabilities. So identifying like who, for example, are the fear-bound people. So people who seem particularly scared that someone's going to like break into their house, or that someone's going to invade the country, or whatever. And then the political candidate, they would send those particular people an ad where this person was, up for protecting, the nation's boundaries, or for like neighborhood security, or for increasing law enforcement, or whatever. So they would use psychology profiles to determine what sort of political advertising to send them to make them more likely to vote for the particular candidate that they were pushing. So does anybody have any qualms about this? Or is it worrisome?
I mean, I think this is done even today, right? Daily, you see tons of stuff being written, and at the end of the day, you don't know who to believe, right? And you see how the mistrust in media has gone, so down the toilet that that I don't know that trust is very rare thing. So this is one particular example, but I think it's so widespread. It's it's worrisome, definitely.
Yeah. Does anybody want to push back and be like, these strategies have been in place a long time, actually?
Well, I don't know that that's very recent. I mean, all throughout history, you see a lot of propaganda on even for first World War I, World War II, and manipulating a populace to do something that's so horrific. There was no need for any of this very advanced cookie whatever tracking, just to print a couple pamphlets and have some crazy guy, very charismatic, convincing millions of people to do some really crazy things. So I mean, I don't know how much more worse this is compared to some of the horrific things that have happened in history, right? I don't know. I don't know how comparable they are.
Yeah.
I mean, something that could be worse about this is that it is so targeted at, you, a random person, like that it can target each individual person specifically and tailor, some advertisement to them to make them try to do something crazy or whatever. I don't know. Vote one way versus another.
Yeah, so it's highly, highly personalized. Because sometimes things that people will point out, I mean, most people I think are a little worried about the political influence, but in terms of the personalized advertisement, a lot of people will point out, and I think it's a good question to raise, is that it's not all that different from old advertising strategies. So people used to study people to figure out how they could sell them products, and so some people, when we point out, oh my gosh, they're using all these predictive models to serve as advertising at the right sort of time and the right sort of place for the type of people that we are, some people will point out like that has been in practice for a long time. The studying of human beings and trying to figure out when you're most likely to sell them a product.
It being so targeted, especially towards like vulnerable groups that are easily manipulated, it's pretty, I mean, yucky for sure, if not like, I don't know, legally questionable.
Yeah, so there's something about the vulnerability, the identifying, aspects of our psychology that make us vulnerable to certain influences that raises moral qualms, for sure. Any other thoughts? Okay, so these are both cases of advertising, but not all of these predictive models are used for advertising. They can be used for just personalized nudging generally. Advertising is a form of nudging, but to give you an example, so Skybet is a popular gambling app, but it knows way more about users than they realize, and it uses this information to keep them on the app. So for example, one user, Greg, finally stopped gambling in late 2018 after losing nearly $15,000 during a 9-month betting binge. He set off to figure out if Skybet knew about his problems and was trying to keep him on the app and reeling him back in. The app, it turned out, had a dossier of information about Greg, including banking records, mortgage details, and intimate portrait of his gambling and online behaviors. After he stopped gambling, Skybet's data profiling software labeled him a customer to win back, and started using strategies of winning him back through nudging and through emails and other sorts of ways of reaching out to Greg. Based on Greg's profile, he received personalized nudges to lure him back. Emails like one promoting a chance to win more than 40,000 by playing slots. A predictive model even estimated how much Greg would be worth if he started gambling again, and his worth was about $15,000 or $1,500 for the company. So here's another example of predictive models being used to personalize nudges. It's not necessarily advertising, but it's something to influence our behavior in a certain way, and it's targeting psychological vulnerabilities or states that we might have in order to influence our behavior. Okay, I kind of already raised this question. But let's do it just to get some conversation sparked. So I'm going to do a little small group discussion breakout. It's only going to be like 3 minutes. And I want you to think, we already thought a little bit about the difference between old advertising strategies versus kind of this new big data informed predictive model forms of influencing people's behavior and their purchasing patterns and their votes. And just think about what might be the morally salient differences. So we already have the suggestions that it's highly personalized, and we already have the suggestion that in many of these cases, it seems like there's a psychological vulnerability being targeted. So take 2 or 3 minutes, I'll break you out into small groups and then bring you back and just see if you can come up with any more differences between the two that might be of interest, morally speaking. Oh, no, I don't give you the answers. Okay, stop share, breakout rooms. Let's do, okay, see you in 2 or 3 minutes.
I never use these rooms. How do they randomly select people to go in different rooms? Is that how it works?
Yeah, and then the people have to hit to join.
Oh, you click join. Okay. Oh, I see.
It's actually something that I miss from teaching on Zoom, because I think that students oftentimes they have a place in the classroom that they sit, and then they always sit there, and they only end up really meeting or talking with the people that surround them. But with the Zoom scramble, they end up meeting their classmates a lot more.
I think there was like a random that could generate just random rooms and put people in just random rooms. Is that's possible too, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, the ethics part is so hard and gray, and I'd rather stay in the technical part. It's very well defined.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the big thing with ethics is that, yeah, that you have to tell the students, like, there's no right or wrong answer. These are just tools for thinking about it.
Yeah.
More.
I'd rather deal with the what than not the why or if.
Okay, so I just gave them 60 seconds. Okay, we have about 25 seconds before everybody's kicked out of their breakout rooms.
Like with time? Oh.
Yeah, it's 15 more seconds. Hey. Okay, so did you guys come up with any other features that might distinguish old advertising strategies from these new highly personalized strategies of influence?
We talked a little bit about how, I mean, like print advertisements, like old print advertisements, like you had in that example, don't feel very similar to like modern web, advertisements. Whereas like, if you think of a car salesman as like talking to you and trying to sell you on a thing, and you're on the street with them and they're looking you in your eyes and they're like trying to do what they can to make you buy a car or whatever. That feels more similar to like web advertisements now, except you don't have like a person talking to you. It's like the computer talking to you.
Yeah, so it's like, is it like how intense they are? Or is it more like you can't escape them? Like at first what I thought you were going for is like how pervasive it is. Like everywhere we go on the web, it's like we're facing new advertising, and it's like we almost can't escape it. It mediates like half of what we do. And I thought that's what you're going for. But then the car salesman, I thought, well, maybe it's because like it's overloading like our senses in a certain way, and that's more what distinguishes the web stuff.
I was just saying, I was actually saying that it's more similar in that they're like so tailored to you as the customer.
Oh, right. Yeah, good.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're both trying to accomplish the same thing, in that in the old days when perhaps we were a little more maybe more rural and the small towns and everybody knew each other, and you went to the store and everybody knew you, and you knew everybody who worked there, and there was a trust, and there was where if you forgot your wallet at home, they say, okay, well, pay me later, right? And so there was this trust because we knew each other, and as society has grown and fragmented, and we don't have that personal connection anymore, but we would still want to establish some kind of trust, of you knowing me, I know you, and so how do you do that at massive levels, right? At the scale level of not Amazon trying to establish a personal relationship with millions of people, and it needs to be automated without people actually talking to you physically. And so how do you automate all that and scale across not only one person, but many of the people that from where you buy things, right? That you buy a camera or a laptop or anything, and they always want you to fill out a form to try and establish some relationship with you as a customer, as a long-term customer, and almost nobody does that. Or so what are the alternatives of replacing that kind of trust? And hey, I want to serve you as a customer. You're very valuable to me. And so how have we substituted that building of trust? And perhaps we've gone off the rails on just the amount and the scale and the reach and overreaching of intrusion, right? of things that, yeah, I mean, I might trust the guy at the store. I know them personally, but somebody who is completely anonymous to me, why do they know so much about me more than what my family might know, right? So, so we feel intrusion into our privacy, right? That perhaps we have no control over. So I think that's where we might go at some point on how is that we control this. We've turned out to be, instead of them selling us the product, we've turned on us being the product. We're the ones who are being sold, right? Our information is what's being sold. That's why everything's free, free email, free Google Docs, free slides, free everything. It turns out that it's it's free because we are the product. We're being sold to the folks,
Yeah.
and if there were a mechanism by which we would, it's fine that you sell this, but hey, I want a piece of this. It's my information. I should have control over that, and how it follows me as an identity. And if you are going to make profit off of me, then I definitely want a bigger share, and I want to be able to control this information. So yeah, I don't know what kind of mechanism. Maybe some kind of blockchain kind of information might help create this identity where my information follows me everywhere I want. And then I can somehow have some kind of dashboard where I can control what folks can know about me. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, I think a couple of things. So one, about us being, when the services are free, we're the ones, we're the products. I think that are being sold. So I think it's like, it's important that like our data is being sold, but it's also, and what people will point out is that it's our behavior in a sense, or us being able to be influenced, that's being sold. So it's not just like they're like our data and then we can be compensated for it, like they can pay us money, but it's more like when they're taking all that data, what they're doing and what people are paying for is the ability to influence us and to influence our behavior. So the product is really like our vulnerability to influence, which kind of changes it a little bit in terms of like what the solution might be. I mean, if that's something that we want to sell, to be the targets of influence like that. And then what I really liked in your comment about what might be morally salient difference between old advertising and new and the new predictive models, is that the relationship falls out of it. That's actually never come up in the conversation before, because normally, like when you think about old advertising, they want to get something out of you just as much as anybody else. They want you to buy the product. But you're absolutely right that it used to take place within, they had some sort of investment in you to build a relationship with you as a client, or beyond that, if it was a small community, and that has totally fallen out of the picture because the mechanisms of influence are just acting upon you blindly without any sort of investment in building the relationship. So yeah, I really like that. Okay, I just looked at the time, so I'm going to go back to sharing the screen. Okay, so we got a lot of good stuff out there. Part of it was that it's very pervasive and everywhere, that it mediates a lot of our interactions, that the relationship falls out of it, which I really like. Other things that people have pointed out is there's just this huge informational asymmetry that wasn't there before. Like even if advertisers were studying your behavior and trying to like sell you the products or sell their products to the right group of people, now it's just become that the asymmetry is just so great that it creates a power dynamic that's problematic. Oftentimes when you're maneuvering around on websites or through apps, these different mechanisms of influence, whether they're advertisements or whether they're subtle nudges, can be hidden from view. So you're not aware that someone's trying to influence you in the same way that like when you look at a billboard, they're trying to influence you. So that's also been pointed out as being something of worry. The influence is so great that eventually it can slowly sway beliefs and values through time, is another worry. Also that these ways of influence are dynamic and that there's feedback. So they can try to influence you through, a particular nudge or a piece of advertising, take note of your whether or not it was effective for you, and then change strategy so they can be very updated very quickly in a way that old advertising practices couldn't be, and become even more highly personalized and responsive to what works on you and what doesn't work on you. Okay, so here's a question for you all. So now let's move into talking about, so why should we value privacy? So we've talked about what people can do with our data. Maybe one reason we should value our privacy is so that we aren't aggressively influenced, or people aren't trying to persuade us politically or to buy things, or to nudge us when we have a gambling problem. But what other arguments might people give for like why we should value privacy? Or why do you value privacy? If you do.
Yeah, I've given up on privacy.
Have most of you given up on
Lost
privacy?
I think I've also kind of given up on privacy, and that, you know, there's really like nothing that you can do at this point to like try to keep all of your data safe, or, you know,
But if
prevent
you
people from knowing things about you by where you went on, you know, websites.
yeah.
I was
But if
looking the
you-
other day at Google Maps, and I saw that it tracks every place I've been for the last 5 years. It sees exactly where I've been. It's got all my GPS locations all throughout the last 5 years. I was wondering if I should clear it or not. But it says I haven't been anywhere that I feel ashamed of. But certainly, yeah, it's scary.
It's horrifying, but I like it. It's fun to know.
Oh, wait, you like it? So you prefer no privacy?
No. Specifically in the Google Maps example, when Google Maps sent me an email that was like, look at all these fun places you've been. That was fun.
Yeah.
I don't want like, I don't know, if I have to go to court or something, I don't want it to be like shown in court. Not that it's like damning, but still like, ugh.
Okay, so there's an argument for privacy, is the ways that information might be used against you. Malicious uses of your personal information that might harm you or embarrass you in certain ways. What are some other arguments for why we might value privacy? What about like even at home? Like if you have like nosy parents or nosy siblings or something, like what do you think it is if you do value your own privacy and want to shut the door? Like what is it that you're valuing?
Just like your sense of self and like, you know, how you identify as yourself.
Yeah, fantastic.
Like that's maybe not something they want to share with the world, or, you know, people that you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, certain things that you would do only if you knew that you were in your privacy, and that you would not do if it was in public.
Yeah, great. Okay. So within, those were a couple of great thoughts. I'm going to pull out some of the themes here. So one is people might think of privacy as some sort of control over your information. So we have an interest in being able to control ourselves and our lives. So controlling information is like preventing other people from trying to manipulate us or influence or do bad things with that information. It also has to do with constructing who you are as a person and deciding what sort of information you want to share with other people, what sort of information you want to be public knowledge. People have also hooked privacy up to autonomy. So this idea that you do certain things when you're alone that you wouldn't do otherwise, it gives you a chance to kind of experiment with who you are and to try on different aspects of yourself in a way that you can try to see what fits for you as a person without the judgment of the eyes of the other. So I guess I didn't clarify. The value of autonomy means the value of being self-authoring. So to be make your own choices. I guess I kind of said this at the beginning, make your own choices, to think for yourself, to be the person that you want to be. And that's an ongoing process that involves a lot of experimentation. And sometimes we try on a certain aspect of ourselves and then we decide that, you know, that didn't really work. I'll be, you know, something that's more true to, that resonates with me a bit more. And so some people have made the argument that having kind of a sphere in which you can do that safely without people judging you, or, you know, 20 years later being like, hey, you were like this at this one time, that we kind of need that safe space to be able to try on different parts of ourselves to find out who we actually are. Privacy has also been connected up to dignity, some sort of thing about not being constantly under the scrutiny and judgment of others is connected up to our ability to have integrity as persons. Other things that people have brought up about privacy is that it's a way to build intimacy with other people. So when you think about sharing information with your nearest and dearest, a lot of times it involves exchanging rather intimate information. And so by allowing us to control that information and who gets it, we're able to build relationships of varying degrees of intimacy. And then there's also privacy as restricted access, which is just like some sort of sphere in which the world of influence isn't constantly bombarding you. So you have time to just feel your own feels and think your own thoughts. And this also is connected up with autonomy, or being able to govern yourself in an authentic way. So those are some of the arguments that people have thrown out. And we could talk longer, and I'm happy to return to that topic if people want to talk through the values of privacy. But let's say you're committed to privacy. Let's say you haven't given up on it in the new era of big data. Well, actually, I'm going to give you some more arguments to give up on it. But what do you think if you were building a web page and you wanted to protect the privacy of users? What would be your fallback? Like, what would you do to respect the informational privacy of users? What are some strategies?
Not store cookies.
Yeah, okay, yep.
Just don't do sessions at all.
Or you can do sessions, but not, you know, but just for like maintaining your own user sessions, not like also getting the, you know, the Facebook cookies, all those widgets and stuff from before. Like maybe you don't add those to your website.
What if you had to use, oh no, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I think transparency would be very useful, where, you know, like for instance, Google shows you exactly where you were, and you can control that information and whatnot. You can clear it out and it's gone. And if you know exactly what was being tracked and how it's being used, and you make the decision on, you can throttle how much or how little or no information, and that you can be certain that the information follows you, right? Then perhaps you can make a more educated decision on what is that you want to happen, right? You know, if you go to a medical doctor, you know, you're willing to share certain private information with the right person that you would not be okay with sharing with some other people, right? So it also depends on the context, on who am I sharing it with? Is it appropriate? And so I think it's more the control, you know, transparency and the appropriateness of the information that's being shared.
Yeah, great. Okay, so we'll get to the appropriateness and how that depends on context very soon. What I want to pull out of your comment is talking about with the transparency and allowing people to decide for themselves what sort of data they give up. So one of the common things that we fall back on is consent. So you let people know what data is being taken, what's being done with the data, and then if they consent, this is a way of basically respecting their privacy, because they have waived their right, basically, and been like, you know what, I'm willing to exchange this information in order to use your services or something. So it respects their autonomy, or that's the idea behind privacy. Another strategy that people fall back on a lot is anonymity. So just trying to remove the personal data, identifying information from a person so they can maneuver through the website or whatever without having their personal information attached to them. However, there are a lot of challenges with both of these. So the appeal of anonymity is that the data is severed from the identifiable subject, as in like their personal sensitive information, their address, their name, that kind of thing. And the appeal here is that it takes the personal data outside, or it takes data, which we want, or at least a lot of people want that data to build models and learn from the data, outside of the sphere of privacy concerns. So you can have the person who's kind of disconnected from the data, you can collect all their data, but the person remains anonymous in certain ways. So one thing that Baracus and Nissenbaum, who are two people, philosophers who have thought very deeply about this, point out is that we should really call it more something like pseudonymity instead of anonymity, because there's still anonymous identifiers. So if the whole point that we're collecting data is that we can like sell you targeted, or we can use personalized targeted advertising, we still want to be able to identify you, maybe not your name or your address, but something so that we can shoot you the advertising that is tailored to you. Something else to point out is that apparently, and other people in this room might know more about these debates, but it's debatable as to whether you can actually achieve anonymity, technically speaking. So many have argued that anonymity is impossible due to a variety of methods for deducing someone's identity using comprehensive data sets, overlaying one data set over another to triangulate identity, and using various sorts of queries to get information that's needed to pinpoint someone's identity. But computer scientists have developed techniques like k-anonymity and differential privacy, which work in certain settings by abstracting or perturbing the data in order to create anonymity. But I guess it's still hotly debated amongst computer scientists the degree to which this actually secures anonymity. So in the era of big data, can you guys think of any other, so basically Baracus and Nissenbaum, the structure of this argument that I'm trying to summarize for you guys is that we oftentimes, when we think about protecting someone's privacy, we fall back on these two lines of defense. One is anonymity, the other one is consent. And in their article, they basically point out how in big data, like neither of them really work. So can you think of any reasons why anonymity wouldn't really work, ethically speaking, if we wanted to protect and respect somebody's privacy?
Well, I mean, you're always going to have somebody who you need to trust, where there's at least some, I don't know, like a trust broker that really knows who you are, and then to everybody else, you're anonymous. Like for instance, Apple, when you log into something, it'll generate a random email, right, and a random password, so nobody really knows who you are. Or even when you use a credit card, uses a randomly generated credit card number, so nobody can really steal your identity because that's not tied to any one person. But you still are trusting Apple, to maintain this information, who you really are, the identity, and obviously their whole market is their whole selling point is that we respect your privacy, right? And that's their selling point. But then, do you trust Apple, right? with keeping all your photos and keeping all the information, and so there's always one person, something that needs to be trusted to even implement any anonymous implementation. So yeah, I don't know.
That's a great point. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Okay, so one thing that they point out is they say, like, look, you know, all these technical debates about whether anonymity is even possible is kind of besides the point, because what we care about, ethically speaking, is whether or not somebody's reachable, as in someone could act upon that person, could try to influence them, influence their vote, you know, could go to their house and knock on their door, whatever. But what we care about, ethically speaking, is whether or not someone is still reachable. And even if anonymity is solvable, we still have these anonymous identifiers, which makes it the case that someone is still very much, you could act upon them, you could try to influence them, and even if it is divorced from certain types of personal information. But on top of that, there's all these worries about, like, given how much data is out there, it is at some point we are able to triangulate and figure out who people are once you lay one data set over another and figure out, we can zoom in on a particular identity. We can also use all sorts of data inference to glean additional information and try to figure out who people are. But in all of these cases, the agents can still be targeted and acted upon as individuals, which a lot of notions of why we value privacy, it's not protecting what we care about. Remember, there's restricted sphere of access. It's without a person is still being acted upon in this case. And so it's not respecting the privacy of individuals in the way that a lot of us care about. Okay, so then there's consent, which is definitely a huge go-to. So the appeal here is that consent respects persons as individuals. It respects their capacity for choice and self-determination by giving them ownership over their data, and they can choose whether or not to give it up. What's important is that meaningful consent would require disclosing what data will be taken, what will be done with it, and why. And the person consenting needs to understand in order for that consent to be meaningful, for it really to be something that they are choosing. So can anybody think of problems with consent? I feel like this one's, yeah. Any problems of using consent in the era of big data that makes it ineffective?
Well, getting meaningful consent is, I mean, impossible to verify, and no one's going to do it anyway. And they use all these dark patterns to get it in the first place, like Reddit having a pop-up that says, click anywhere and you consent to this.
Yeah.
Not very helpful.
Yeah, yeah, good. Any other thoughts? So what do you think, like, what if a company really wanted to aim for meaningful consent? So they weren't trying to use the dark patterns. They weren't trying to, you know, kind of use these backdoor methods, but they really wanted to try to get meaningful consent. Do you think that they could do it?
I think so. I think it goes back to transparency, that keeping the client informed, and asking for permission at appropriate times, and how this might be benefit them or not, and that they could make an educated decision, right? So, well, this is the benefit, and this is what it's costing me, and then you could do a cost benefit analysis, and then make up your mind on this, and I think a company could make a responsible effort at keeping the person informed of what's happening, right? I guess it's a between everything's free, but you're the product, as opposed to this service is not free, right? And there's no advertisement, there's nothing, you pay for it. And so in between, there might be somewhere in between, right? Where from the free, where you're the product, as opposed to the paid for, where you're not the product, you're paying so that you're not being advertised to. And that could be anything in between, where some kind of responsible partnership between the person willing to sell themselves, or in order to obtain some kind of free access or some reduced costs,
Yeah.
to a particular service.
So
I think there's a great area of gradients to extremes, right?
Yeah, I'll be very curious as to what you have to say, because Baracus and Nissan, they give some, I think, pretty compelling arguments about how informed consent is actually, and meaningful consent is impossible in the era of big data. Does anybody have any thoughts before I throw those out, those arguments, as to why consent might be ineffective? Okay, so here's,
wait.
Yeah,
Well,
John.
so, okay, I have an idea. So if you, let's say you, let's say you're like a photo hosting website or something, and you give consent that the website itself will host the photos for you or something like that. The company that's hosting the photos has no ability to prevent like another company from coming in and like taking the photos and mining all the data. Even if it's not the company that you gave or that asked for consent, it could be some other company that did not ask for consent that's just like yoinking it anyway.
Yeah, I think you're going in the right direction. So I'm going to lay these out, and you tell me how it hooks up to that idea. Okay, so here's what they point out. They point out, one, human limitations. So in order to even, when we were talking about what meaningful consent would look like, it just sounded like it was a rather long process. You know, you really got to weigh out how it's going to benefit them and how it's going to harm them, and you have to explain the process and whatever. And like, people just don't have that much time. I mean, a lot of times, like, I would love to read the privacy policies, but I'm trying to do a million different tasks at once, and I got to get on the website, and I just have limited time, right? Limited attention. And so you just go through. So they point out that one, which a lot of people point out. But here's the, I think, an interesting one. So transparency paradox. So meaningful consent requires that someone understands what they're consenting to, right? It also requires that you detail everything that's going to happen. And so the thing with the methods of big data and what's going to be done with their personal data, the idea behind the transparency paradox is that in order for it to be fully informative, so it's giving all the information they need, at that point, it gets too complicated, like they can't understand it. But once you try to simplify it and put it into terms they can understand, valuable information is being lost. And so they're not consenting to everything that they need to consent to. And so they're not talking about a computer scientist here. They're just talking about people who are consenting to privacy policies, right? So that they say there's a paradox here. It can either be understandable, but not fully comprehensive and complete, or it can be comprehensive and complete. But at that point, normal people are not going to be able to understand it. And so there's a paradox. You can't have both. So that's another issue they point out. The indeterminacy of what's going to happen to the data. So the way that a lot of these predictive models are built is that there's just like this hoarding of data, right? Like, it's not like when that data was released that people knew eventually what was going to happen with that data. It's out, it's around, people are mining it, sifting through it, building models with it. And then, oh, it turns out that one of these models is like particularly good for doing XYZ. But that person has already released that data 2 months ago or a year ago, right? And so the idea is that when data gets released into the world, so you need to ask the person before you take their data, at that point, it's indeterminate what's going to happen to that data. And so you can't really inform them about what's going to happen with their data at the point at which they need to give consent to it being used, is another idea that they have. So I'll stop there. I want to hear any thoughts about those. I think I find them fairly compelling.
I think my thought is very related to the indeterminacy, which is like, a better example or more concrete example is like that Facebook like thing where you go through and you like all your favorite things, but then some other company that's not, like, maybe you give Facebook consent to like whatever, use that data, but like you didn't give, Joe Schmo company consent to look at all your likes, but like they can because it's public information.
Yeah, great.
Consent also needs to be like freely given and taken. So the idea that it would be given once and then accepted throughout the entire life of this person's data, it's, doesn't actually follow the definition of consent.
Yeah. So I think what they're pointing out is that like a lot of like in order for data to be useful and valuable, like it can't just like stop, you know, once the person releases it, it's used and then it's like it dies. It's like the data needs, a lot of these models are built because they're able to hoard and comb through tons of data. If we really got consent for every single piece of data that we used, and we were able to explain what's going to be done with that data, a lot of the benefits of big data would just fall out of the picture. I think it's part of their idea. The last one is tyranny of the minority. So the idea that you know, you might be very careful with your data, and you may not consent to give away a whole bunch of your data. However, the voluntary disclosure of people like you helps build models that can be targeted at you. And so it can unlock information through data inference and whatever else about a great deal of people, even if a lot of those people do not themselves consent to having their data given away. So in a way, it's like you may still, you know, your data may never be released, but the data about people like you is out there, and basically the same sort of effect can happen in terms of you being targeted for political advertising or commercial advertising or what have you. Okay, so those are some worries that Baracus and Nissenbaum lay out about anonymity and consent, which are kind of our lines of defense for protecting privacy. And Nissenbaum goes on to suggest that one way that we might be a better way to look at privacy has to do with looking at the context and the informational flows in different types of contexts. So she points out that the vast majority of social contexts have informational norms. So what is an informational norm? It specifies the actors and the recipients of information getting passed around, the type of information that's getting passed around, and also transmission principles or different sort of constraints on that information. And these norms can also be entrenched or flexible. So we'll go through some examples, but like just to get your head around an example, you have some sort of informational norm governing a medical context, right? So you have the doctors who you would give sensitive information to that you would not give to other people. And the type of information would involve things having to do with your medical history, facts about your body, that sorts of things. And then the doctor is able to ask you information, ask for information that, like, if other people asked, it would be seen as quite inappropriate. Okay, these informational norms should ideally support contextual values. So every sort of context or activity that we're engaged in is usually structured by a certain set of aims or values that are trying to be realized. So in the medical context, it has to do with, you know, alleviating suffering, healing people, those sorts of values. Trust might be one of the values important there. And so then her suggestion is, so before we were thinking about privacy as in like people kind of, privacy is violated when people take your information away from you without your consent. But she suggests that privacy should be understood as being violated when a flow of information is not appropriate, or it's not in accordance with the informational norm at play. So if your doctor all of a sudden, you know, posts your medical information to Twitter or something, because of the informational norm at play in a medical context, that's going to be seen as a violation of privacy. I'm going to illustrate this with a couple more examples. So here's the medical case again. So what information can be exchanged? Details about your body, your history, your habits, your routines. Who's giving the information and who's receiving? The doctor's the recipient. You're giving information about your body. The transmission principles here is information should remain confidential, and it's appropriate for the doctor to ask the questions. You, of course, would not ask them in return about their body. And then the contextual value is something like I was saying before, alleviating pain, promoting health, trust. So you can switch context, like look maybe at a family. So what sort of information can be exchanged? Obviously, families are going to vary on what topics are allowed here. So this is an illustration of the idea that the norms can be flexible depending on the context. But usually a family will come up with, you know, its own set of norms about what sort of information is expected to be shared and discussed at the dinner table and what sort of information is not. Who's giving the information and who's receiving? Family members. Transmission principle, again, aren't really fixed. But you can imagine certain information might be inappropriate to be withheld, again, depending on your family, but something like an engagement, or if you were moving out of the city that you lived in or something like that, it would be like quite a shock if someone did not disclose that information to their family. And then maybe the contextual values here are emotional support, love, and trust. So let's take, the example of a classroom. So how would you guys start to think about the informational norms in a classroom? What sort of information is being exchanged? Or who's giving the information? Or what are the transmission principles?
Hopefully whatever we're learning about is
Yeah.
that's being exchanged.
Yeah,
And,
great.
you know, probably primarily from the professor to the students, but also maybe, you know, the other way around, just like discussions.
Yeah, great. Super. What about like a transmission principle? Or contextual values that might govern these norms that they're supposed to support?
That it's maintained within the context of the topic at hand, or?
I guess that both parties are participating in good faith.
Yeah.
That might just be catch-all for pretty much all of these, right?
Yeah, maybe like there's something about passing on information that, yeah. No, I like that though. That's an interesting question. Okay, good. So, whoops. What information is being exchanged, and you got this immediately, information pertinent to the topic. Maybe you go off topic for a little while and briefly, maybe share a few personal anecdotes, but professional norms need to be upheld. Who's giving the information and who's receiving? The students and the instructor, and I agree that maybe it's primarily the instructor, but a lot of like good pedagogical practice involves like having an active discussion where everybody's kind of jointly learning together. So it depends, I suppose, on what the pedagogical strategy is. The transmission principles, you might say the students raise hands to share information, and the instructor might have authority to shut down topics or change topics. And information is typically not seen as confidential. So something you learn in a classroom, if you go and post it on your Twitter or share it with your friends, it's not seen as a violation of anybody's privacy. Contextual values here, you might think that these informational norms are in place to promote learning, to promote expression, to promote self-growth or community building, or what have you. Okay, so when looking at new contexts, this is the guidance that Nissenbaum gives us. So we want to look for precedent first in offline contexts. So for example, I'm thinking at the Mayo Clinic? The Mayo Clinic website. Because people are going there to seek information about their health, we should see it as a health clinic. So when they're searching things about their body, we should treat that with the same sort of norms that we would treat someone who's seeking information about their body in a medical clinic. We may see search engines, insofar as people are using it to seek information, as something like a library, and think through what are the informational norms at play in a library. And then a question we ask is, does this technology promote the contextual values? So again, with Mayo Clinic, is it promoting health the way that the informational norms are structured? In an education setting, if it's an educational website, does it promote learning? And then one further question that can be asked is, how can this technology best be used for individuals and society, and what informational norms would support that? So would you look up a piece of health information if you knew it was going to appear on your Facebook wall? Or would you look up a politically sensitive topic if you knew it was being tracked in a particular situation? Okay, so we are at 8:30, and I realize we're at 8:28, that you guys end at 8:30. So what I will ask you to do to reflect on before Tuesday, and then maybe we'll have a very quick debriefing at the beginning. But just consider a website that's out there for health, for shopping. So for example, Amazon, or for finance, or a social media website, or a news website. And think through what sort of informational norms govern this sort of context in offline settings. So an interesting one to think about is Facebook. You know, what sort of informational norms govern friendship in an offline context? And then think about the informational norms as they play out in Facebook, and just observe that. What sort of data does an operator of that website have access to? What might this data reveal about the subjects? And then once you've considered the informational norms in the offline context and what sort of contextual values might govern that context, what sort of norms ought to govern the collection of data in this online context? So the idea here is this is a lens of analysis to look at the offline context of a particular situation, whether health stuff is going on, finance stuff is going on. Look at the contextual values, so what sort of values are governing that space, and the informational norms that are supporting those values. And then think about, once we translate it into an online space, are those same sort of informational norms being upheld? Are the contextual values being supported? And then looking at it at the practice from that angle. So I'll talk more about it, and we'll debrief it on Tuesday. But I guess in the meantime, just consider a website and think about its offline analogy and whether or not the informational norms have shifted in good or bad ways. So I will see you on Tuesday. And thanks to you guys for the great discussion.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Looking forward to some more discussion on Tuesday.
Awesome. Dark patterns on Tuesday.
Okay. Ooh. Thank you.
Thanks.
Jose,
Great.
any chance you're sticking around?
Yeah, for those that want to stick around, I'll be holding office hours. Let's take a 5-minute break. I'll be right back. All right. Let's see. How can I help you?
Hey, I've got a question, not particularly on an assignment, but just kind of in general.
Okay.
So if I'm inspecting, I've got Google Developer Tools open in Chrome at like our version of Twitter, I can easily see like the fetch, get requests, etc., like all of them, that and like the API endpoints that are exposed for this application.
Right.
But if I go on actual Twitter and try and do that same thing, I can't find them. Are they, and also like, you know, I would assume that in some way I want my API to know that's communicating with my application so that, you know, nefarious people couldn't just like hit my API with the same like embedded key or something. Obviously that won't work, but
Yep.
How does Twitter hide its API? And also what, is there some way to like authenticate? How do I, is there a way for my API to know that my app, my client is requesting?
Yeah, exactly. So that's a topic that we discussed on Tuesday on authentication, where we're using cookies, we're using tokens, and the data right now up to this point has been in clear text. We've been just sending the text. You could see exactly what the URL is. You could see exactly the payload that we're sending across. None of that really happens in a production environment. All that is encrypted. Right, so what you might see is garbage going to the site and garbage coming back. That can only be parsed and translated back into real data within their application. So everything's obfuscated, right? Because otherwise they would be vulnerable to attacks, right? You could easily create a small application that's gonna send hundreds, thousands of requests to their servers, right? And they actually do get attacked. They have ways of surviving those attacks. But yeah, any data that going back and forth, they're not sending anything in the clear. Everything's encrypted. There's a token that gets that has a timeout that they can match against your session to see who you are, right, and have a conversation with you specifically, right?
And the API endpoints themselves are encrypted?
Yes. Yep. Everything's encrypted. Even if you see all the URLs, even in Amazon or anything you go, if you want to bookmark something, they're huge, right? They're really, really long URLs, 255 character encrypted that only means something to them. It's enough for them to reconstruct the page because it's a state. It's a state token, and depending on that state token, it means that this is the product you were looking at. These were all the reviews, and these were the advertisement that we were showing you, and that's all maintained in their databases to be able to recreate that page based on that token.
So it's one step beyond HTTPS in that if I just got a certificate for my Netlify app,
yeah,
would immediately everything would be encrypted? No.
Yeah, if you use HTTPS, yes, the posts and puts would be encrypted.
Also to the browser though, like the browser wouldn't.
Sorry. No, once it gets to the browser, it would be unencrypted. And if you want to do additional encryption that people like us could actually see the payload and actually step through the code.
Yeah.
Even the code is encrypted. So they obfuscate the code so that all the variables would be obfuscated. So you would, even if you read the code and you prettify it, it would be meaningless to you, right? All the variables would be single character variables. All the functions would be single character functions. Even if you would be able to print it out nicely, it would be completely meaningless to you because you have absolutely no idea what's going on. And so they go through tools that obfuscate this code.
Mm-hmm.
So that even though you physically have it on your machine because it has to be downloaded and executed in your browser, you would have to reverse engineer what the code is doing.
It's like minified, right? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, minified and obfuscated. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so
And the
like in
data
that
also,
case,
the data that's going back and forth is also obfuscated. Anything that really maps to your user ID, right? That's never divulged, right? It only knows how to. It'll do base. It'll use several encryption schemes to know what the actual value is.
and those encrypted calls just aren't even shown in the developer console.
Yeah.
Well, so, and there's like some logic there that's built into the browser that just says like, if we can't share this information, don't show it.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Sure.
Hi, Professor.
Hi.
Can I ask you 2 quick questions?
Sure.
Yeah. The first one is about our homework 9. Do we need to deploy our node project to Heroku?
That's Mongo with Mongo.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not requiring folks to deploy the Mongo.
Yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, you would have to deploy the Node.js and Mongo so that they talk to one another. So I'm not going to require that. No.
Okay. Thank you. And another question is about our project. Can we use Spring Boot for our project?
Sure. Yeah. You can use whatever you want. For the project, you could use any stack you want.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor. That's all. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi, Professor.
Hi, what's up?
I have a bug in assignment 8. So can I share my screen?
Sure. Janya, did you have a quick question?
That's me talking.
Oh, that's you. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So here. Can you see my screen?
Just a second. Yes, I can.
Okay, so when I added my profile and hit the save button, it will have a fail to fetch.
Okay. Unhandled rejection type fails to fetch. Okay. Can I take a control real quick?
Yeah, sure.
So what did you do?
When I click the save button,
Save. Okay. If I type something,
yeah,
and I save.
yeah.
Says is uncut, blah, 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 blah. Profile. Access to fetch, yada, 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 from origin 3000 has been blocked by course. So I'm guessing it's this one. Localhost 4000 API, and we're sending a posts. So I'm guessing there's source. Source Chrome. Oh, what is this? Snippets? Huh? Where's your source? Why can't I see your source here? Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Which one is it? 88?
A8. Profile screen. Edit profile. I think it's in component. Edit profile component.
Where's your save button? Where's this? Is it edit profile component?
Yeah, here. I think
So where's your save here?
Edit profile component. The file like above this, yeah.
Oh, it didn't change. See that?
Yeah.
Oh, no, what's this profile? Profile.
No, the profile is like the original one, and I changed the
Oh,
name.
okay. And then you're changing the, oh, there it is. Name. Is it capital N for name? Is that right?
Yes.
You sure? Okay. Okay, and so you're gonna do a puts method, and the URL is this one, right? Here's a
Yeah.
put, here's a profile. Okay, name change, that's good. Looks good. Then you're gonna do a put. Okay, where's your server running?
In the terminal.
What is it?
In a terminal.
Oh, terminal?
Yeah.
No, but the code.
Oh, the code is in IntelliJ.
Here? This one?
Yeah.
Oh, here.
This is React. This is the node.
Okay, is this a node?
Yes.
Okay, so is it where is the put? Is this one?
Yeah.
Here?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Okay, and is it running? Where's it running? In the terminal?
Terminal. Yeah.
Here?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's stop that. Let's run it here. So we can step through it. And we're gonna run. Is that the file that where you have a server, JS? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Let's refresh this. Try it again. Not probably undefined. Is this information coming from the server? It doesn't seem like it came here.
Yeah.
Do it again. So you're here, put a breakpoint right there. So you're running this. And network. Localhost 4000 API profile. Localhost 4000 API profile. So are you sure this is this here? Because it's not hitting this. It's not hitting this. Okay, so this is called profile service, right? Where's profile service here?
Oh, maybe I didn't require it, right?
Yeah, I don't think you required it.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah, try requiring it, okay?
yeah, I
And
can
then
try
make
that.
sure that it reaches this. Yeah, put a breakpoint there.
Okay.
So make sure
I
it makes.
will try to require it for now and I test it again.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Bye. Good luck.
Hi, Professor.
Hi. What's up?
I had a quick question. We spoke a little bit yesterday, and I was just wondering if you had the chance to take a look at the repo.
Oh, right. Yes. No, I have not.
Oh, okay. Could you just let me know when you get the chance
Yeah,
to?
I'll take a look at right after this. So you sent me an invite, right?
Yes, I did.
Did you send me a new invite? Did you actually send it
You
to
want
me
me to send you?
right now?
Oh, okay, I can do that again.
Yes, please. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
It's more so not towards this class, but actually your next class for fundamentals of software engineering.
Oh.
I wanted to ask if there's a way I could talk to you about getting into that class.
Sorry?
Is there any way I could talk to you about getting into that class? Because like I was trying to join the waitlist, but the waitlist is full, the class is full, there's just everything
Yeah.
is
Ping me tomorrow around 11.
11.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'll
Alright.
do that.
Hi,
Thank you.
Sure. Oshi, what's up?
Can I ask a few questions about assignment 8?
Sure, what's up?
So for the practice, for the movie part, I'm not sure why I followed through the code, but I can't like edit it or anything.
I think, okay, yeah, you're supposed to have only one field, not 3. Yeah, go back. I think you put it inside of the loop. Can you show me where you're rendering it?
Um,
Can you see the map, your map?
oh, this
Where were you iterating over the movies? Can I see?
right here.
Yeah, see, all right, so that input field's not supposed to be in the loop. So grab the button where wait a minute, the create button in that input field, cut it out from there and put it right on after line 44. Now wait, no, not there. Sorry. After line 45. Like that, yeah. Wait a minute. Also change, what are you doing? On movie title change. Okay. Now try to do it again. Show me.
Okay. So is there is it okay if our button's all the way to the right?
No, that's fine.
Okay. And then if you press edit, it would only show the name. It's not going to show the actual.
Right, of course. Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. And then thank you so much. And then the other question I had was, so to deploy the node server, you mentioned that we need to, once you have a local Git repository, so do I have to create like a new one? I'm kind of confused.
Well, I don't know. For the node server, it doesn't come automatically with a Git repository. So can you show me your server, node server?
This one?
Okay. All right. So it says .git ignore. So it looks like it is a Git repository. Can you show me the terminal here? Is it the terminal? Okay, click on the terminal. Can you do an is this a Mac? Yeah, do an ls. Ls enter. I don't see yeah, there's no .git, so this is not a repository. So you have to create one.
So how do I do that?
You do git space init.
Git
Space init, yeah. Okay, I created one, and make sure your git dot get ignore. Okay, now you add all this content to your git repository. So you say git space add dot, and then say, and then you commit it. Git commit -m, and then some message. First commit colon. All right, yeah. Okay, done. And then you have to put this in GitHub.
So I would use. So
And you know how to do that, right? I mean, we did that for the first assignment.
So do I push it into the same?
No, this would be a completely different repository.
Oh, so I have to create a brand new repository.
Yeah, brand new one. And once you have that repository, then you can deploy it into Heroku.
Okay.
Now, when you deploy it into Heroku, go to server.js. At the bottom. Yeah, that's supposed to be what is it? env.port on line 25.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, in there you're supposed to say, I forget what it is, process.env.capital-port / or -- no. bar 4000, meaning when it's running on Heroku, it'll use whatever Heroku port gives it, but locally it'll use 4000.
Okay. So sorry. So I basically have to push.
Yeah, I think in the assignment I tell you what to do.
Okay.
Yeah, deploying. Scroll down.
But before
Heroku,
all
scroll
this, I
down.
have to push it on to GitHub, right?
Yeah, first you have to put it in GitHub, and then you can do that.
And I put it. So do I make a separate repository and then share it with a TA?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Hi, Professor.
Hi, what's up?
And so I just solved the problem just now, like, but I cannot save it when I refresh. When I do a refresh on my browser, the data was gone. So I think that's not saved in the server. So
yeah, what I saw that in your puts, you're just replying the value. You're not saving it.
But
Can you
when
share
I
your screen real quick?
Yeah, sure. So when I have this function update, and I
you're saving it in the profile.
Yeah.
Okay, you are. Okay. Can you put a breakpoint on line 12? And is this running on debug mode? Yeah, stop and run, and now try saving again. Okay, hover. No, wait, go back the server. Go back in the server. Okay, hover over a body. Request.body, hover over that. Okay, there's the new data. You're saving it, and hover over profile on line 12. Okay, save the data. Okay, then it should have worked. Okay,
Yeah,
go back to.
I mean, it can have the data actually. Like when I save, it can have the data. Oh.
Yeah, no, but the server's still waiting for you. You can't just leave it there hanging. Say continue.
Continue.
To the bottom, scroll up, and you have to make it big.
Oops.
Can't make it. It's down here. I can't access it. I don't know. Git run debug. Okay, there it is. Okay, you continue here.
Oh, okay.
So that came
and refresh, and it's gone.
Okay, because I'm guessing that what you're doing in where's your
Oh.
Where's your code, your React code? Is that your React code?
Yeah.
Okay, can I see the reducer for the profile? Okay,
Yeah,
see line 1. Yeah, we need to remove that
Oh, so I always like
because you're
import
always loading that from the local file.
Okay.
And save, blah, blah, return, state, yada, yada, yada.
But actually, every time when I get the profile, I will fetch the profile data from server.
Yeah, so where do you fetch it here? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, get current profile.
Okay, then this should work. Try it again.
Yeah.
Now go back to your React and refresh.
Oh, a moment.
Refresh. No, just refresh. No, don't edit it. Just refresh. Can you go? Can you see the? Can you show me the Can you show me the inspector? Go to network. Do refresh. Wait. Wait, am I controlling? I can't. Oh. A8 Twitter profile. Is that the right one?
Yeah.
Go to the server. Which one's the server? This one?
Yeah.
Oh, so I think it's supposed to A8 here. What do you say, Sable? Yeah, so you're getting it from a different. Oh, A8 Twitter profile.
But in my fetch function, it's also API/profile.
Well, no, here says A8 Twitter profile.
Oh.
Oh no, that's 3000. Oh no, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
So where's your server? Where are you getting the data then?
I have the fetch method in my React.
Okay, but I don't see it here.
Yeah, I don't know where is it here.
Okay, why don't you find that? Why is this not sending? So what file is this?
This is the node.
No, this file here.
This file is the edit profile.
You know, not the edit profile, where you render the profile.
Yeah, can I take control? Yeah.
Profile component, profile, this one.
I think it's, yeah.
Profile components. What do you trigger fetching the profile though? What do you trigger? You have the service. You show me the service, right?
Mm-hmm.
So where do you trigger that?
Can I take control?
Yeah, go ahead.
The mouse, yeah. I think it's here.
But that's when you edit, but you were showing me here before you edit.
Yeah, like I use use effect.
What's going on? Why is this broken?
Because I think, can I take control of the mouse?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I think you just changed it here.
Oh, I changed it. Okay, change it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You need to restart the server, I think, maybe.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, why it's not work? It's not rendering now.
Oh, maybe because we commented out that you were reading the profile. Oh, there it is. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Get? Okay, there it is. Edit. Okay, but that's when you edit. What happens when you're done editing?
When I done editing, when I like click the save button, I call this update method.
Okay.
And that's the
save it.
and
Save
use
it.
effect
Okay.
is first load, so I get the profile data.
Okay, and when it comes back, what are you pass a dispatch?
Yeah, and
Okay, and so go into get current profile. Go into get current profile. Go in there. And so you do localhost API profile. Okay, so show me where in the inspector you're doing that get.
you mean,
Yeah, that's a get, right? You're doing a
Yeah.
get to HTTP localhost 4000/API/profile. I don't see that in your browser.
oh, 1 moment. I need to like comment this. Why it's the content is not rendering now?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's you go to 3000. So put in the filter. Put in filter up there. The filter, no, on the other on the right hand side.
You can
On the
take
right hand
control
side here, right here. Put profile.
profile.
Yeah, you're not doing that query. You're not going out to the server.
Yeah.
Yeah, find that. Look why that's not happening. I'm gonna have someone else.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Hello, Professor. I have a small question.
Hi.
Oh,
Yes.
because I need to take the control of the mouse to stop sharing.
Okay.
Thank you.
So it's regarding installing MongoDB.
Okay.
So I didn't have the bash profile, so I created it. Put the path in it when I try the command MongoDB.
All right. You want to show me?
Yeah, it doesn't work.
You want to show me? Okay.
So
All right. Let's see. Can you take control?
yes.
Okay. Oh, what happened? Did you move my mouse?
No, I did not.
Yeah, I don't know. You're controlling something. I'm not controlling. Are you moving?
Yeah, I was moving the mouse for a little bit.
Okay. Yeah,
So I
don't wait a minute, please. Let me. Okay, so what are you doing here? Path, user local, blah, 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 blah. MongoDB, Mac OS, x86, 64-. Okay. And it's here, right? Did you restart your server? Your machine?
Yes, I did.
I think his path is wrong. Because in the export path he has
Oh yeah, it's
0.3.
no, it's also it's DB path, not D path. Oh, D. So the path is wrong?
No, I mean like in the other terminal which you opened, you see it says in the user local he stored it, the file he stored, it says 5.0.4. But
Oh,
in
it's
his
0.3.
path, it's 0.3.
Uh-oh. There we go. MongoDB cannot multi-trans cancel. Okay, system preferences. Security. MongoDB allow. Open. Yes, open. There we go. Running.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Good luck. All right. Next.
Hi, Professor.
What's up?
I have a quick question regarding my regrading request for the quiz 4. I asked you on the Piazza that there's a misleading question. The question 4. The quiz 4.
Let me just look at which course. 4550 or 5610?
Hold on. It's 56.
5610?
No, the quiz 4.
I know, but course 5610 or 4550?
Oh, it's 5610. Yeah.
Okay, which quiz?
The quiz 4, React 1.
Quiz 4.
Yeah, the fourth question, because there's some misleading information, the X and Y and A and B.
All right, in your
kind of, yeah.
Let me just look at your last name just a second.
It's Li, L-I.
Fang Ying.
Yes, that's me. Yeah, because you told me that you give all the full credits to students because this question is.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
There you are. Which question was it?
The question 4.
Question 4.
Yeah, the
oh yeah,
problem.
I remember.
Yeah.
yeah. All right, done.
Okay, thank you so much.
Bye. Next.
Hi, Professor.
Hi, what's up?
Can I share my screen?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay.
Are you sharing?
Yes.
Okay, there you are.
And I have a question for A9.
Okay.
So this is my profile page, and when I click edit profile, it's random nothing.
And you're trying to retrieve data from the database? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and take control real quick.
Okay.
So you're coming to the edit profile, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see what communications are you making. Okay, so this 200, okay, see that's going out to the server. And the server is responding with something. Is this what you're expecting?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Where's this render? What's this file called?
Edit profile.
Edit profile. Okay.
It's A9. Yeah.
This one.
Yeah.
Okay. So edit profile. So is this what you're expecting to get?
Actually, I have a edit profile screen. It will retrieve the data from the database. So.
Okay. So you have edit profile screen.
Yes. That's also A9.
So this one.
Yeah. So actually, I retrieve data from database.
And then you pass it down to this here?
Yes. I pass the data to profile.
Okay. And here you are profile, set profile. Okay. Oh,
Yeah, I
and you're
copy.
copying over the profile into new profile.
Yes.
And then here, what are you rendering? You're rendering the input fields down here, right?
Yes.
Text area with new profile. Okay, I see. Okay, so it doesn't have anything.
So it does not copy the data to the.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it. Let's see, what line, okay, can I see your code? Where's your, is it this one? Where's your code? Is it your code?
Yes. Is it called webdev? Yeah, I think so.
A9 profile edit. So it looks like this is it, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I think you might need oh, what happened? Ah, what? It's this one, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it seems rendered.
Okay, got it, right?
But it will break other stuff.
What breaks?
Like there is the tweets list seems broke.
Oh, wait, network. Forgot something, I think. Huh? What happened?
Yes.
Did it break something?
Failed to fetch.
Wait, did I miss something? Oh, comma. Unhandled rejection, code fail. Oh, what happened? Did the server die? I think the server might have crashed. What's your server?
Server.
Can you restart
Can
the
I
server?
can I take
Go ahead.
This one is here. Server.
Yeah, can you restart this?
Yes, I restart.
Okay, can you refresh?
Oh yes. Yeah.
So wait a minute. So let's see, database. That's the server, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. You're sending it in from here.
Yes, I actually fetch the data from the using fetch profile in edit profile screen and pass the value to the edit
Yeah,
profile.
I don't like that you're doing it here though. I wouldn't do it here. I would do it over there in the edit profile. So profile. You're sending a profile. You're sending profile equal profile, edit profile. Set then profile, set profile, clear profile. But this should work. Set profile. If I go to source, I go into edit profile. Which one is it that loads it? What's it called?
Edit profile screen.
Edit profile. Okay. So it is this one, right?
Yes.
So let's put a breakpoint here, see if it even gets here. Wait, did I save? Oh no, we're looking at the wrong file. Screen, go screen. It's this one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, put a breakpoint right here. Refresh. Oh, interesting. It's not calling it. Uh-huh. The plot thickens. Okay, so where is this service? Where's this fetch service? Oh wait, no, but it is. So where's fetch service here? It's this one, right? Profile service. Let's go there.
Yes.
No. Undo. You undo that? Do Control Z.
Yeah.
Okay, can you open? Profile service. Is this it?
Yes.
So it's this one, right? Profile, fetch profile. Looks right. Is it REST API?
Yes. It's REST profile.
REST profile? Is it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So it's fetch will have dot then REST response JSON. That looks right. And here you're saying dot then set profile, but why is this not being invoked? Why is this not being? You see that, right?
Yeah.
This is not being invoked. Why is this not being invoked? Oh, let's see.
Oh, the profile
Oh,
seems
it
to
is.
have ID.
Okay, there it is. It came back. All right, there it is. So there's our value. Perfect. So it does come back. It does come back. It does come back. And you were stringifying it. Did that work? And then you're sending it to the edit profile. Okay, so let me comment this. So my guess is that this renders correctly. Okay, there it is, right?
Yes.
And then you pass it to edit profile here. Edit profile, which presumably we set the profile, and you try to render it and it's not there. New profile. Okay, there it is. Okay, that's what we want. Do we even need this? We might not even need this. Let's see. What happened? Can you refresh this? Hello?
Yeah,
Can you try and refresh
I
again?
do refresh.
Okay. All right, so we do need the set, right? Yeah, we need the set.
Yeah.
Yeah, put the set back, the use effect.
Here.
No, in the code here. Yeah, that. Yeah, that fixes it.
Why is that? So I
Yeah, because the thing is that you're changing state at the top and you need to propagate that. So over here, you also need to change the state.
oh
Because your parent is
so
changing the state and it won't propagate.
okay. So I need to
So that's why I would do the HTTP query. I would do it here, not in the parent. But that's fine. You're passing it in, and we need to copy into the state using a use effect. Use effect is like a constructor. You know, when it loads, right? It initializes
Yes.
yourself because
Okay.
you know, it could be set it like the first time and then it's unset, and then you don't have the value. It's empty. And so this one gets called only once, sets it once, and then it's done.
So I do not need to have it here, right? So I just
No, what I would
Yeah.
do, I would move this code into the other file, but don't do it now. You'll break it.
okay, sure. I will do it by myself afterwards. So I
Yes.
can copy this part to the edit profile.
Yes,
To
and you'll need to
it-
import. Yes, and put it in here. So in
Okay,
that
okay.
11 line 11, you do the work you did in the other one.
Okay, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Good luck.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Next.
Hi, Professor.
Hi. What's up?
I just want to ask a couple questions really quickly about the final project.
Okay.
One of the questions was about like the roles for a user in my partner and I were thinking about doing like the movie review platform essentially. And could you have like a one user is like just the viewers who does the reviews, and could a different user role be like maybe like an actor's profile where they can see the movies that they are in, and that view would be different from
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
And don't worry about, you know, having to validate that it's the you know, the real actor or anything like
Right.
that. Just imagine
Okay.
that, yes, you have all that information.
And then do you have any advice about like where, I don't know, just generally like where to start with it, or like just kind of, is it just basically like following along almost like we built up the Twitter page in a way?
I mean, yeah, I would first do simple static React components just to display the information that I want to display, lay it out,
Mm-hmm.
right, and maybe and then make it dynamic without the server. You know, just having a reducer with all the data that you need that's providing the data so that you can render it and see, and you know exactly the JSON files that you're rendering, and then slowly substitute the JSON files with an actual server that provides that data remotely, and then you
Right.
pick it up.
Okay. And then there was one other thing. Sorry, one second. Actually, I think that's it really for now. The other thing was, are we going to talk more about like how to show different things for different users, or like with different user roles, or is that just like you think we
Well,
have all
it
the
was
scope for that right
basically
now?
what we were working on Tuesday,
Okay.
of creating
Yeah.
users and logging in and registering, and then you use the primary key, the underscore ID of the database,
Mhm.
to map it to other data. So you go,
Okay.
these are the movies for that user, or these are the likes by this user.
Right.
And they're all keyed off of the primary key of the user. So then you can do queries such as, okay, well, I know the user ID, then I can retrieve all the reviews that were written by this user.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, Professor.
Hi, what's up?
I have a question about the assignment 8, the profile part.
Sure, what's up?
So I'm going to share my screen now. So the thing is, I really had a hard time at the node server part, and I mean, I wrote the profile server part and the React part, but I'm not sure why it's not working. So I kind of want you to look at my code and try to help me figure
Right,
out why
can you
it's not
show me
working.
what? Can you show me what is it that it's not working?
Yeah, so so this is the website, and when I click save, it doesn't actually save anything. So I can change the name, but when I click save, so for A7, at this point, it should save to the reducer, but wait.
What happened?
Wait, why is it saving now?
I don't know. You fix it.
Wait, but oh, I'm so confused. Let me restart the whole thing. See if it's still.
Fix it.
Yes. Oh God, I don't know why.
All right, try to find out
quotation-
what's wrong with it. Let me help someone else and just
Sure,
stay online. Okay?
sure. Sorry,
All right.
sorry about that. I'm going to
Sure.
start sharing now.
All right, next.
Hi, Professor. Sorry,
Hi.
I tried to push it into the new repository, but
Okay.
it got pushed to the master instead of the main.
That's fine. Doesn't matter.
Okay. So okay. Do I have to make the master the default then, or like
No, it doesn't matter. Just that when you're gonna select Heroku, from Heroku, it'll tell you all the branches. You'll just have to choose the master branch.
okay. Is there any way I can move it to the main?
I think you can rename it, like with -M or something.
Okay. Okay.
I think it's a git, branch -M and then the new name or something like that. I forget.
Okay. But it's okay if it's in the master then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Professor, I had a question.
Sure.
So this is with the practice. You share my screen. Let's see. All right, can you see my screen?
Yes.
So for the practice, I think this is how you wanted it. Just 2 buttons here and this for each line item. My question is that my delete and edit button don't seem to be working. So I can create things. So if I do 1, 2, 3, create, but then deleting this won't work.
This is for A8.
Yeah, A8 practice.
Okay. Yeah,
Deleting. Yeah.
undefined. So I think when you create, where's your create here?
The right one is the node server.
Okay, so all right, so my guess is that you're not passing an ID. So where do you create here? Can I see the create?
Yeah. That's
So there's the create, right?
Up.
Create movie. Okay,
Yeah,
there
right
it is.
here.
Stop. Wait, create movie, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I guess you need to add movies. You need to add an ID. And you're not sending an ID. That's what it is. So here, let's do it on the server.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say, change this to let. And then we'll say movie dot underscore ID is equal to new date. Dot date time, and we'll change it into a string. And we'll restart the server. And then go back to you try it again now? Recreate a new one. Not delete it. There we go.
Okay. I had so these are talking about like my to-do list, and I noticed that the ID that we're using as the unique identifier, I forget, like this in my filter is underscore ID.
Yeah.
And then when I hover over this, it looks at this, and this is in my reducer. So I'm just wondering, why is it like is the error here calling because that
Well, but that's
ID?
movies, right? That one, I mean, the error seems to be in to-do is done in movies.
Oh, okay. So this is just coming from this example then.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. I thought because it was in the reducer, it was more like available, and then there was some
Yeah, no, it's
interaction with
a
that.
to-do. Yeah,
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
sure.
I have a question on A9
Sure,
practice.
what's up?
So I mean, I kind of pretty much followed everything that it went through in the practice, but it's not quite working as it should.
Okay, you want to show screen?
Yeah. So like over here,
Okay, what are you trying to do? What doesn't work?
I like delete anything, or
So none of the delete works?
none of the delete works, but
Okay.
I think the create works.
Okay. Can I take your control?
Yeah.
Ooh, you have a infinite loop.
Yeah, I have this problem too.
Yeah, can I see where's your React code here? Can you show me your IDE?
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah, that one.
Okay, where are you retrieving all those movies? Where is that? Is that the movies?
Yeah, we need to practice in the movies folder.
So the user fact
Here,
is
okay,
calling
so you're
itself.
missing here at the end. So can you go back to the browser? Where's the browser? Okay, refresh. Did it refresh? I don't know. We might need to kill it. Okay, let's run it again. This is A9, right?
Yeah.
I'm still doing it. What else you have? Maybe you have other things here that I do, or movies. Localhost 4000 rents movies. Find all movies. Servers, find all movies. Oh. No, not here. It's here. All right, can you go back to the browser? Is this it?
Yeah.
Is this it? Let's see if this fixes it. It's an infinite loop. Stop it. Yeah, this says only do it once.
Okay.
Otherwise, it'll go into this infinite loop. Okay, that's it. All right, let's see. Now we can take a look at this. Delete. Oop, it died. Your server died. Who's your server? Is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, that one.
Let's see what is it. Is this running? How are you running it? Terminal, so terminal. Okay. Model. Wait, remove one is not a function. Okay, so all right, so at least got to the server, right? Okay, so movie down. Movie down. You're saying remove one. And model is this guy. That's model. Remove one. Okay. It's this one. What are you doing here? You're saying module that exports model. Model is mongoose model. My model looks right. Schema, blah, blah, blah. Looks right. So what's wrong with that? Delete movie ID. Model remove one.
Isn't it a delete one, Professor?
I'm sorry?
Delete one.
Oh, is it delete one? Is it?
I don't know.
Oh, apparently it is. There it is.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm in the practice. It said remove, so okay.
Really? Oh, it's remove one in the Mongo client. It's delete one in Mongoose. Ugh. Okay. So this is it stopped, right? I think it stopped. Starting.
Yeah, I think it started again.
No, don't start from there. Always start from here.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, you can't do breakpoints.
Okay.
Okay, it's up and running. Now let's try it again. Okay. Now let's delete. Okay, this time around. Okay, there we go. All right. Cool.
Okay, I got it. So this input field here, are we supposed to have two of these here? Or
No, you're not. You're supposed to have just one.
oh, okay. I mean, because in the practice, I think it said that I have both. Or so do I just take this one out?
Yeah, just remove the other one. Remove. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Okay, thank you.
Good luck. All right, next.
Hi, Professor.
Hey, what's up?
The Heroku installation doesn't seem to be working.
Okay. Can you show me your screen?
Yeah, sure. So in the terminal, was that based on the instructions? I put this in. Do you have access?
Okay. So wait, can I see the where's instructions?
Oh, right here.
Brew tab, blah 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 blah. Brew. What happens when you do this? You go to terminal?
This one or?
No, like an actual terminal.
But this isn't my webdev and not in my.
It doesn't matter where you run it.
Oh, okay.
Brew that brew what? Brew is not installed? Okay. All right. Interesting. Okay, so macOS is brew. I mean, that is the instructions. Currently Windows installed, may display blah 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 onto. Interesting. Why does this not work for you? Why is brew not installed for you? Could it be? Could be you're not an administrator, maybe? Can you go back to the terminal?
Yeah.
What? Okay.
Oh, I think it's right here. Should I go back to the terminal?
You go to terminal? Your password? Continue, enter, return. This might take a while.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let this go through all the way through and then try that command again.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. And then the other question, so for my for this, if I create a new one, like a new movie, I can't delete that, but I can delete the rest of them. Like the
Okay,
ones
go to your what assignment is this?
assignment 8.
Hey, okay, can you show me your server? Where do you create this? Create movie. Okay, so movie. So my guess is that you don't have an ID. Save that and rerun. Try it again. Did you run the server again?
Oh, I have to rerun this. Okay.
The server. Yeah, that one.
Okay, that worked.
Yeah.
Thank you. So once this is complete, I should just type in that command again, the brew.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Sure. Anyone else?
Yeah, I got some questions that I need to ask.
What's up?
Sure. So I guess we'll start with the practice one. Do you mind if I share screen?
Sure, go ahead.
All right. All right. I just gotta make sure that the server is on. Okay. Actually, I don't even need the server. What am I doing? All right, it's just to make sure that the practice is working. So it like, is that expected? I kind of just summoned a new movie when I hit the create button, but I did like create it with the.
Yeah, no, that the field is only for editing, not for creating.
Okay. That was confusing me for like the longest time.
Yeah.
So then you have to do like edit and then
you can
save.
Right. Yep, exactly. Yep.
Okay. All right. The other questions I have, I'm not sure if you can see this, but I'm kind of making like an infinite number of calls
Yeah,
to a.
yeah. Can you show me this movies where you render this?
Sure. Let me just stop this so I don't make something explode. So this is movies.
Yeah, in the React.
Right. So this would be in here.
No, the
Oh.
client, not the where you render it.
Right. That would be in the practice
Like this.
API. Yeah, here.
Yeah. So is this where you do the fetch?
Yeah, this would be the fetch.
Is this the only place where you do the fetch?
Oops.
Well, if you have another movies down there. You have another directory. Can you take control?
Sure. How do I do that? All right.
What's this? So why do you have two?
It's a good question.
Let's save that and refresh.
Sure.
You save? Yeah. Okay, now try it again.
Yep, looks like it's saved. Let's delete this.
You might need to kill the whole browser.
Huh. I think it stopped loading. Yeah, I think that fixed it.
Yeah, that's it was the other one.
Oh.
I don't know why you have two versions.
I have that issue too. So I think it was the instruction that misses the comma and the dependency on there. So yeah, that's my question as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see. So it was okay. All right. That makes sense. So I'll see I'll have this issue in other places with my app as well. It's not just over here. Let me see where else it's problematic.
Oh, it doesn't seem to, because oh yeah, you said yeah, this one's doing the same thing. See that? You're missing a dependency
Oh,
in the tweets. Yeah. Same
okay.
thing. You're missing a square bracket at the end.
Okay, so I got to figure out where that's happening.
Yep. Yep.
Boy.
Yeah. Look for all your use effects and make sure you have a square bracket at the end.
Okay, for every single one.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I guess I'll let someone else get on then, since it seems pretty straightforward.
Sure.
All right. Thanks for your time.
Sure. Wilbur?
Yeah, no, I think my question actually got solved. But yeah, thank you.
Ashi?
Well, actually, I have one more. So for editing profile, is it okay to use a link, or we have to actually render it to putting a separate page? Like, so if user click on the editing profile on 8.8, are we allowed to use link, or is it just we have to?
Oh, you can use link. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure. Ashi, you have a question?
Yeah, I download like the Heroku download completed, and I ran the code, but then when I check the version, it says Heroku command not found.
Want to share your screen?
Oh, it seemed maybe it didn't download. I thought it downloaded, so I did the brew.
Selling your updated for software, blah, 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 wrong. Wait a minute. Wait, can I take control?
Yeah,
You have to unlock. Zoom. It's not letting you select Zoom?
I did, but it doesn't.
No? What?
Yeah, and I don't know. I saw. Sometimes it just doesn't show it, but you should.
Weird. Okay, that doesn't matter. Let's see if we can close this. So wait, can you paste the brew command again?
Okay.
Brew temp, Roku brew. Wait, downloading, yeah, already downloaded. Yeah. Downloading, blah, 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 blah. CLI, Heroku, yeah, already downloaded. Installing Heroku from Heroku Brew. Your command line tools are outdated. Update them from software update in system correct or run. Okay, copy that. And paste it. Finding the software, blah, 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 blah. Software update all install force. Ooh, Xcode, okay. And do you need to press enter or something? Or just install it? It says, but it doesn't tell you. Do that return a couple of times, see if it says something. All right, give it a minute. If it's installing Xcode, that's gonna be a while.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
pretty big.
Yeah.
All right, give it a few minutes and then you can try brew again.
Okay. But do you think I could still do the challenge part even if I don't do the Heroku part, or do I have to do it in that order?
Yeah, no, you have to do this first.
Okay.
Well, actually, I mean, I guess, Can you go to Heroku.com? Do you have an account there already?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, can you say new? Okay, yeah, create a new app. Give it whatever, webdev. Then dash no, or yeah, whatever. Okay, create app. And then say say GitHub. So it says deployment method.
Yeah.
GitHub. And then wait a minute. Yeah, connect to GitHub. Say authorize GitHub. Is that you? She organization access she public and private.
Where can I see my? Yeah, that's me. I think. Yeah.
Okay, authorize Heroku. Let me log into GitHub. Okay. Yeah, down below you can. Do you know the repo name?
I believe the one that I just created for the server, is that the one that?
Yeah, copy from the URL. That part. Yep. Go back to Heroku. Go back to Heroku.
Oh, right.
Yeah, go back to Heroku. Yeah, and paste that. And search. That's it, right? Okay, connect. It didn't ask you the branch?
No, it didn't.
No. Okay, so wait a minute. Add blah 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 blah. Release.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
this is
yeah.
where I would do master.
Oh, there it is. Is it main or master?
It was master.
Okay. Yeah. Go back. Master. Blah 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 blah. Automatic deploys. Yeah, they enable automatic deploys. Okay. Then see deploy branch. Click on deploy branch. All right. Give it a minute. Okay. Scroll down. We can see what's happening. Build succeeded. Blah 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 blah. Oh wait, did you put the process.env port?
Oh no, I didn't see that in the instructions.
Yeah, then it's not gonna work then. Go back to your server. Server, all right, go all the way down. Yeah, okay, so right before 4000, type, I think it's process.env.port. env dot in all caps port, env environment, lowercase.
Oh, okay, port.
Yeah, port is uppercase, but env.
Oh.
E Nancy Villa. Okay, and then bar 2 bars. Okay, commit this and push it again. And get commit port or something. And push. And go back to Heroku. And say deploy again. Deploy branch. Yeah, so can you show me if you what URL would you use to test this?
What URL would I use to?
Yeah, if you're running a local host in your local host server, you're running
On
your
for
local.
that, no.
Like your movies, right? Your movies. What is it? Is it /API/movies? I don't know. How are you getting those movies?
I
Can
thought
you
it
show
was
me?
4000.
Yeah, no, but what is the URL? /API/movies? What is it?
I think /8.
Yeah, do it inspect so we can see what it is. and refresh. And do a network. There's what says elements console. See elements console. Yeah, networks. Okay, refresh so we can see this. Movies. See that? Click on movies. Headers. Okay, so it's localhost 4000 /API/movies. Okay. All right, go to Heroku. Go to the top, all the way to the top. See? See where it says more?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, it says open app. See, it says open app. Click on open app. Okay, so at the end of that, right, the .com, put /API/movies. Movies, right? Is it Canva? Yeah, it's movies. It's always plural. Okay, it's working. So it's running on Heroku, right? As opposed to running locally. Well, it's also running locally on machine. So basically, the way you test this, when you deploy your React remotely, right? Wherever you have a reference to localhost 4000, you're going to replace it with webdev. Yeah, copy that. Copy the whole thing. Yeah, copy that. Now go back to your React code. Yeah, so on your service, your movie service.
This one?
Service, not the service. Yeah, where's your code for the movies? Oh, right there, movie client API clients.
Yeah, the movie.
Yeah, movie API client. The other tab, Go all the way up. Okay, see where it says localhost 4000 API/movies? You're gonna replace that URL with the other one. Don't do it here. Make a like a global constant so you can flip between the two. So put a constant here. It says, you know, URL equal, and then in quotes, paste that in. Okay. So I would have two versions of this. One with the local one, right? The one you have on line 12. Right. So copy that in a separate, you know, const URL, blah, blah, blah. And so I would comment one out. No, the same variable.
Okay.
Okay, equal, and then paste that in. Okay, and then comment one out. So comment the number 4 out. Okay, now use the URL here. Yeah. Everywhere else where you have the URL, I don't know if you have a create here too, everywhere. Right? You try it on your own.
Okay.
Okay, and see if this works using the remote server now.
Okay.
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 All right.
And then, so on the Git the new Git that was created, that only has this, not this, sorry, the server Git, right?
I'm sorry?
The new GitHub that I had to create and push like movies dash server and tweets server, it wouldn't have the React stuff in it, right?
No, they're completely separate. Just like over here, you have two projects running at the same time.
Yeah.
Now you're going to have a remote React and a remote Node.js.
Okay. But when I'm working on the code for the challenge.
Yeah, when you're working locally, you only use the local versions.
Okay, so can
once you're done, right, you set it up so that it works remotely.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much.
All right. All right, folks, I'm going to call it a night.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks, Professor.
Good night. Bye-bye.